All right, let's try this. Because apparently this camera just wants to act as a microphone. And I can't switch that off. And it won't work in broadcast. So I don't get a virtual background. You get to see the lovely little area that I still live in. Don't worry about this. This is an easy patch and repaint. I can fix that up in less than 15 minutes. Just this chair here. I got no room for nothing. Life on a budget. With an immune disorder from an electrical burn. Yes, that's right. The whole thing that got me in this situation. Doing electrical work for the city. And all the complaints I had about the DEI hire, they told us the entire reason we got hurt, the DEI hire that was there, never showed up on time, never verified that the circuit was safe to work on. The city claimed that they went down there before we got there and shut off the circuit and locked the panel and left. And what they were supposed to do was be there to meet us so we can verify that the circuit was off and safe to work on and check the panel. But no, they had to lock us out of the panel and say it's off, don't worry. The park is open to the public. There's people running around, just get it done real quick. And a lady got electrocuted to death in the pool, and I nearly got electrocuted to death. I woke up in a doctor's house. Remember the doctor gave me a shot and had me do these weird stretches to test my circulation. And the journeyman I'm with is like, oh, make sure you never forget that this DEI hire at the DCR did this to us, huh? Never let the Boston DCR forget that they nearly electrocuted us to death today. Okay, all right, sure. I remember asking him, what's a DEI hire? And he said to me, wait till you find out. So eventually when I'm back in school, my leg throbbing, uninsured, hoping that any day we'll get to keep our health care like Obama told us we would get to keep. And I'm asking, like, what is a DEI hire? And most of the class didn't know yet. And somebody said diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. Like, oh, what's that? Oh, they said it's a checkbox hire. Like, well, what's that? And somebody joked you had to be non-binary and gay to get a job. And we just laughed it off and didn't talk about it. We went right back to focusing on work because that sounds absurd. We have to be engineers. We can't think about absurd things. Jesus. So anyway, the big issue, and I'm noticing it's more and more relevant today, is the Occupy Democracy protests that I was there for in 2011 in class. We were all studying for math, and one of the apprentices was not happy about the math being difficult. Like we had to learn power triangles. It's trigonometry. It's like it's part of calculus, and we only went up to calculus 2. So there was, it got complex, but it's not the end game of math. And it was too hard for some people to figure out. And they started protesting about it. And one of the protesters there stood up and was like, Occupy democracy, something's not for me. Capitalist system's not for me, something like that. We're all trying to focus on math, not listen to these people, and they're trying to disrupt everything. And the instructor, I remember the instructor was so mad he threw his coat at one of them. And, get out, there's the door. And they get up and they're just marching in line and they're doing their chant and saying that, like, oh, it's all capitalism's going to fall. Sears is going to fall. They were making fun of Sears a lot. On the way out, one of them turned to me and said, oh, you may as well join us. Do something with your life other than get used up by the system. I'm like, I got work to do. I've been waiting my whole life to be a city engineer and do electrical work and put up lights for the city. I wanted to do this since I was a little kid. I never thought I'd qualify. I ain't blowing this for nothing. Have fun with your protest. And I don't remember them being happy that I turned it down. A lot of us stayed in there and chose work. We chose work. We were like, this was like going into our 5th year, and this is the most difficult math we've ever had to face. And those of us who put in the work and the effort to finally understand it weren't giving it up for anybody. So, a few months later, I don't know, maybe a few weeks, few months, this kid comes into class one day that he's always been kind of off. You can tell maybe he was barely keeping it together, and he comes in all looking disheveled and stuff and under the influence of something, right? And I'm just looking at my desk, and he sits to my left. He comes in and he sits down and he takes a little baggie out, and I'm looking at it like, oh no, what's going on here? And he, puts a little bit on his desk, a little bit of a line, and he leans over to snort it. And I'm like, oh God, he's doing coke, right? So he ends up squawking with his hands in the air going, I'm a bird, rah, rah, and then he grabs the baggie and gets up around the classroom and goes, I'm a bird, and he's shaking the dust in this bag all over the place in the air, and it like practically disappeared. It's the weirdest fucking thing. And the next thing I know, I get dizzy and tired and hit my head on the desk, and someone sitting next to me threw up. I remember it being red. I remember him throwing up blood. I don't know. I think I heard some people groaning or something. It was just not a good scene. I remember the instructor coming in and grabbing this kid from behind under his arms like this, and just backing him out of the room and pulling him like this out of the back through the door. And some of us went to the back room, to the window. I think we were trying to see if we can open it and we can see the entrance. And the instructor takes this kid and just tosses him. He's like a beanpole, so we went flying pretty much. It lands on his ass. And 2 cops walk up, pick him up, carry him away. And those cops were there pretty quick, but I mean, after this happened to us, I don't know how long we were out of it. But I remember someone asking me who I worked for, who my father was. It was the weirdest, surreal thing to go through that. And I never tied it together that it would have had anything to do with the Occupy Democracy protesters. We thought it was just some like drug addict being a nutcase. It turned out that was cocaine laced with fentanyl. Oh, can I even say that word on YouTube? I don't know. What was coke laced with fentanyl? And the kid died. He might have been 22, 23 years old. And that getting high like that killed him. So, my leg's inflamed and I don't have my health insurance and all these issues. And I had to go to court over getting my health insurance approved. And in 2014, they sent me to a dermatologist, and I'm expecting to see a burn specialist. I see this lady. She's got a nice little head scarf, and she seemed nice and all. And but she asked me what was wrong, and I told her my leg hurts incredibly bad. I can't walk on it. I had an electrical burn, and it's getting bigger. And she looks at it and she says, no, it's not a burn. This is psoriasis. And I said, I can't walk on it. It hurts. She asked me to stand up. And I try to stand on it and it hurts. And as soon as I shout, she goes, oh, white rage. And I was like, what? And she was like, you're confusing pain with white rage. And I'm like, no, this is pain. And then I was so stunned, I barely responded to her. I let her say whatever she wanted, and I got out of there in 5 minutes, and I went right to the hospital staff, and I said, I need a new doctor right now. I do not know why this lady called my leg burn white rage, but I need a burn specialist, and I need it now. And one of the nurse comes up to me. Oh, we're very sorry. She's just she might be pregnant or this, that, the other thing. She didn't mean it or blah, blah, blah. Please, we'll get you another doctor. Blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care what her deal is. This is 2014. She says this to me. So I'm at my wit's end with this. This is the second time. It feels like I got pushback for complaining about DEI getting us killed, and then I get told it's white rage. Like, why is it a race issue? Why are they race baiting? I'm just trying to do my job here. And that's been a thing. Every now and then when I bring this up about complaining about DEI in critical life safety, property safety jobs, putting lives at risk that shouldn't be there, people constantly try to make it a race issue. Look, I don't care what race you are. If you qualify to do the job, great. It's just I don't know. My brain isn't broken in the way that makes sense to me, because it just sounds like broken brain thinking to me. I just don't get it. Maybe it's because I died for a moment and came back to life after being electrocuted by a DEI hire. And that's all I remember is that electrician saying, you let the DCR know, always let them know, never let them forget what they did to us. As far as I know, that electrical worker died. So, I don't know, man. I see all these social justice warriors out there trying to blah, blah, blah from their keyboards, and they weren't out there working in it. They didn't sign their life up to a non-civilian program to train with the Navy and the Air Force and the military to be so electrically capable that you can work on ships and aircraft and a world-class license. And these people wanted to stop us from training. I remember another instructor telling these protesters before it was obvious they were going to be protesting. They were still apprentices, we thought, wanted to graduate. This instructor kept telling them that right to work is not the same as union labor. Okay, it doesn't work. And now I'm seeing today in Jesus, what year is it? My God, 2026. Now I'm seeing today all these posts about pro-labor being anti-union and making comments about teaching the union a lesson in 2011. And I'm just like, what is all this? Is this really all tied together like this? So I don't know. I nearly died, and I spoke up for myself. And to this day, I'm on immune treatments. If I didn't leave Massachusetts, they would have left me on the wrong medicine, and I would have died. Something very wrong there. Something's very, very wrong there. I love Boston. I grew up there my whole life, but there's been so many race grifters there on probably all sides. And it's not the world I was working hard to be part of. I'm not interested in this chaos. It's not for me. It bores me. It's regressive. I wanted to build things and work, be qualified to work with a team and be depended on and be able to deliver to them. And, my brain just wasn't broken like that. But now my brain is compromised from going through all this. So those jobs can go bye-bye. I'd never pass the exams anymore. The best of me, the best of that's gone. But anyway, I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to say. I gotta figure out why this camera decides it wants to be a microphone and not a camera and broadcast. I don't know what happened. I installed everything, reinstalled, I disconnected, reconnected. It just doesn't want to work. It works in OBS. It was working fine the last time I used it a couple weeks ago. Just got it. I don't know. I think I'm going to go play a video game for a little bit. and remember life when I still had hope or whatever. Well, yeah, whatever. Have a good rest of your day. Be well. Good luck out there. And bye-bye.